ever met, you're one of the most successful I've ever seen. It's very impressive, man.
Thank you. I don't know how many you've met, but that's.
I've only met
But
you in person. So.
there you go. So that's good. But that's a thing too,
Don't tell me the
and
odds.
it's always been a perception. There's 3 or 4 people I know that are very popular on social media, and they're also some of the people like me that we financially struggle. There's always that perception like, oh, you get a lot of likes on a Facebook post, you must be rich. I'm like, hey, Facebook doesn't monetize, man. I'm still out there struggling. I'm still out there hustling. You know, I got 14 employees that I'm trying to make payroll for every 2 weeks.
Wow.
You know, it's always a struggle, and I don't think I've hit that time where I'm like, yeah, I made it. Like, I haven't got that point yet.
Yeah.
And that's always a misconception. And 2 people I know very well that are very active on social media, and like, yeah, we're in the same boat. Just because you post something funny and people like it doesn't mean that you have $100,000 sitting in the bank. Doesn't mean you have $100 sitting in the bank. And that's always a misconception that I try to, you know, remind people of. It's like, hey, I'm still starving. I mean, my profile picture is me standing on the side of the road saying we'll spray for bugs. I mean, it's you know, it's a struggle, but just try to go out and do a good job every day, just like I'm sure you do, is go out and try to find the best outcome for your clients. And if you do that over and over and over and over again, eventually you don't have to pander for business, hopefully.
Well, there's power in broke, as what was it Damon John says, or one of those Shark Tank guys, but he talks about the power of broke, where when you are close to the bottom or you're at zero, or if you're so far beneath zero that zero looks good.
Oh,
have you ever been to that point?
Oh. You're talking to that guy.
Yeah.
Like when I started the business, it's, again, another long story for another time, but my original goal was to not have negative money in the bank.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to have plus money on my bank account, and that was a regular thing for me, like to have negative money in the checking account all the time.
Yeah.
So that got to be that goal, was just to have a plus instead of a minus. So when you're at the bottom, and that was kind of my mindset is starting the business at the time that I did, that if I could get established at the armpit of Bakersfield of the time of the market, once the market started to increase, that I would be on that uptick.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of companies trying to scale back. And for me, it's like the time when you're slow is when you have to push harder.
Yeah.
And that's
Got to double down.
for sure, because it can only get better.
Yep.
You know, it can't get any worse, theoretically, of course.
And I think that's such an important lesson, because people get into real estate specifically because it's easy money, right? Oh, I just sit by the pool and answer my phone and just like $1 million listing and make 10, 15, 100,000 $1 million. Wow. And then they get into the real estate business and it's like, okay, well, how do I get clients? Oh, well, how do I do this?
That's always
how do I do this?
The craziest thing for me is I talk to people about real estate, and I try to create a relationship with every person I come in contact with at every house, so that they can be comfortable with the person that they're going to be giving money to. And one of the things I converse with people is I say, you realize in a perfect scenario, you pick up a cash buyer that wants a 7-day close, you're not getting a paycheck for 2 weeks. That's in a perfect world.
Yep.
Reality is you're going to take a couple weeks to get, I mean, even in a best case reality, a couple weeks to get a buyer, you're 2 weeks in. Then you're going to enter into it a 45-day escrow. So you're not going to get
Which
a
may
paycheck.
or may not close.
Theoretically. And we're thinking best case, worst
Okay,
case,
best case,
theoretically,
yeah.
realistically. So you're not going to get a paycheck for 2 months. And that's a realistic expectation. You know, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And the first thing people get a job, when's payday?
Yeah.
2 months from now.
Yeah. Well, you know, in my a couple years ago, I was working.